And welcome back for a very special news talk here on News Channel 2 at noon, joined now by the new president of the Hall of Fame, Tim Mead. Tim, welcome aboard, first of all.
Jason, thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here.
What's the whole experience been like? I mean, it's, first of all, to become president of the Hall of Fame has got to be amazing. And then all of a sudden, you are thrust into the induction weekend very quickly here.
It's exciting, and I think through this whole process, you just can't lose sight of the fact that you're a fan. Maybe one of the ultimate fans in terms of opportunity, but it's exciting, it's exhilarating. It's not just being at the Hall, but it's being around the greatness of the game. It's the purity of the game, the Americana of Cooperstown. Coming from Southern California, it's certainly a change, and it's kind of a nice welcome change.
Talk to me about the process of becoming the president of the Hall of Fame, because I'm good friends with Jeff Idelson, and we talked a lot about this, and it's almost surreal when you've just found out that you've become the president of the National Baseball Hall of Fame Museum.
I wish, Jason, there was a long story, but it really kind of started with Jeff Idelson in spring training. Jeff's been a friend of mine for over 30 years, and he came out to camp and was doing a visit, and we went and sat in the third base dugout, and he said, we talked about his, retirement, and he said, hey, would you be interested? And I thought about it. I didn't ask my family, and I'm in Tempe, Arizona, and I thought about it for about 5-6 days, and I called him back, and I said, Jeff, it's new grandson, my family, my second family, which is the Angels after all these years. So I just can't do it. And but we had a long kind of emotional talk about how I felt, and he relayed that to Jane Clark, and a couple days later she sent me a text. And I gave her a call back, and she said, Jeff relayed your information, but kind of seemed to indicate there still might be that interest, how tough it was emotionally. So I flew out to Florida and met her. We had a long conversation, talked a lot about all of Jeff's accomplishments and the things that he's really initiated here in Cooperstown. And then I got back to the airport, and I was under the conception that, or perception that I was just coming to see if I would be a candidate for her. I get back to the airport and I call her and said, if I agree, when does the process start? And she said, well, I've called the selection committee and I'm offering you the job. So it was not what I anticipated during my flight, but it was wonderful. And I spoke to Jeff thereafter, and it's just been very, very, very exhilarating since.
Okay, so now you're in town. And the minute you get here, the next thing you know, you're on a flight to London because you did the Yankees-Red Sox game. And what was that experience like for you?
It was great. For me personally, it was tough to see, different to see a lot of my my counterparts. I'm used to going in clubhouses and pulling guys for interviews and doing credentials and answering requests, and now you're standing there shaking hands with people and kind of rekindling some of the friendships and all. And it was exciting to represent Cooperstown. It was exciting to watch, a series in London and see the excitement. And I think that ultimately, baseball succeeded in a grand way. Obviously, there were some things that the Hall is always going to look for in the gem events, but it was also a chance to kind of sit back and enjoy something as a fan. And I haven't sat in a ballpark too many times in 40 years and just watched a game.
So you're here in Cooperstown. The staff here is wonderful, and you've probably had the chance now to go through and meet some of the folks that really make this place tick.
Absolutely, and I think that's one of the things that Jeff had talked to me about. He said everybody's rowing in the same direction. Everybody has the same interest, and not everybody perhaps is the statistical fiend that some others are, but there's the historians, all the curatorial people, the librarians. There is a passion within those halls for the protection of all baseball and history, and it's really, when you look at how long some of these folks have been here, that's something that I think Jane Clark and the Hall should have a great sense of pride in. I'm a believer that tells you about any institution or business when you can look at the tenure of its employees. And they enjoy it. Look what they're doing right now, and for this weekend. You have people that aren't used to doing travel or handling travel for Hall of Famers and doing such a fine job. And Command Central over at the hotel right now is absolutely phenomenal to watch.
Let's talk about inductions. Starting to get a little butterflies right now. I mean, this is going to be an amazing event.
It really is, and I think excitement. I think butterflies when you sit out there and look at the crowd, but you still get to be an observer. Holding the plaque, standing next to 6 Hall of Famers and families is going to be fun. But I'm not going to lose sight of the fact that it is a privilege and it's an honor, and it's their moment, and that we're just helping facilitate. And I think it's really the great baseball moment outside of the last out of the baseball season. I mean, those are the two greatest moments to me in the calendar year.
Tim Mead, a pleasure to meet you, my friend, and thanks very much for joining us.
Thank you, Jason. Look forward to it in the future.
All right. We have much more news coming up right after the break. Stay with us.